Oh, beautiful day. Beautiful day outside today. Rained a little bit this morning, but man, is it nice now. Alright, got some projects lined up for myself. One of the first ones I got is I got my new ECU. It's right here. I don't think I can take it out with one hand. No, I can't. The new one came in, plugged it in, turned it on. Started it up, works. Even threw me a check engine light for my throttle position sensor. Said it was, my throttle was out. I got a number 7 is what I got. You look it up. Also, I got proportioning valve came in. It looks a little smaller than the other one. Feels a little smaller. Bracket's definitely a little smaller. We'll see how it fits in there. Other than that, I got wiring to get started. Got myself 6 rolls, 100 foot, 16 gauge, and 14 gauge or 18 gauge, 16 gauge and 18 gauge, just to get started. Not sure if I'm gonna get started on that yet. Of course, always in the background is the LED lights and the wood thing, and this wood thing, which is actually part of this. So whatever. This is garbage. Might save this for show and tell. I don't know, we'll see what I'm gonna do with it. But it stinks, it still stinks. It still smells like burnt plastic. So I gotta do something with it because it literally, like, every time I open my garage or come in here, it smells like burnt ECU and it reminds me of bad times. So go ahead and figure that out. Apparently I locked that, so. All right, let me get this open, see what's going on. All right, so just pop this guy open, take a couple quick peeks at stuff. It appears my little fix down here is working. Both my bolts are still there. Everything still seems to be pretty tight. I know you couldn't see it, but I was just moving this guy around down here, feeling for the bolt and whatnot. A couple other things. You can see the brake fluid level has definitely gone down, which corresponds with the wetness on this side over here. And probably down there somewhere it's wet too. Yay! And oil fix. Got a bunch of stuff I need to do. Good thing it's 1 o'clock on a Saturday. Also lined up, since my resistor decided to shit on me on this one, for the brand new one. Brand new. I got a Honda OBD1 ECU capacitor kit. Gonna redo all my capacitors. Yay! So I get to do that. That's my big thing I want to do today, is the proportioning valve and the ECU capacitors. Anything beyond that I'll be happy with. It would be nice. I gotta figure out where I'm gonna eventually have, since this thing is gonna live down in there, I gotta figure out where I want my wires to go to immediately, which will probably be facing this way. Where I want them to come out of the firewall is basically what I'm curious to myself about. I'll probably just have them come out the same exact spot, make it nice and easy on myself. I ordered a coupling for it there, a wire coupling, 1 1/4 inch. Hopefully it's not too big, because this is technically 1 inch, and that's what I'll be threading through. So we'll see how that works out. Got all my clips. I'm ready, dude. I am so ready to wire some stuff eventually. But for right now, proportioning valve. I just realized if I want to do my proportioning valve, I have to bleed my brakes, which means I have to get the car off the ground. So I guess first things first, pull out my friend Jack and his friend Jack and have a stand party. Alright, just got everything all up off the ground, got the bar off, made a little working room for myself here. Just about to get started. I'm gonna sit down, take a couple minute break. I'm very low on brake fluid, so I'm gonna have to go to the store and get some. Yeah, so for right this second, I'm just gonna take a break, and then I'm gonna work on looking at this guy. I wonder, now that I have a little room in there, Wonder what I did with my, there it is. You can see the size difference. No, they're the same size. That's the same, pretty much. So, yeah, go ahead and, so I got the car up, I leaned on the car and it felt like it was leaning forward. I thought I was gonna push it off the stands, but that doesn't happen in my world. Alright, so yeah, taking a break. Then I'm gonna pull this guy off. Alright, so I just spent like 15 minutes cleaning this guy up, getting it all brushed off as best I could before I started popping the valves. And then I tried to pop the valves, and they were all on there like cement. So I just sprayed a whole bunch of penetrating the old liquid wrench in there. Got that sucker sitting right there. I think I'm gonna try and find some way to organize these just for right now. Some little side project. Alright, got the new one on there. As you can see, the bracket sits a little goofy. It's pretty tight. Definitely not made for this car. The bowl holes definitely don't match up. I'm sure you can see that one is off from that one, and vice versa. So she gonna be free floating, at least until I can figure out if it works. You can tell I'm a little off right there. Had to come out a little bit. Had to work it a little bit, but I didn't have to fight any of the threading at all, really. So I think wherever it is, it's good. Yeah, so I mean, this whole process, I think from the last time I hit stop on the old video here, was probably about 15 minutes. That's about it. Didn't take much to do it, so alright, I'm gonna clean this up a little bit and yeah, take a little break. Alright, so I got everything back on there. Everything is back and tightened down, zip tied down, as you can see. I got my throttle cable kind of looped down, doing kind of a little figure 8 thing. You can see it come up and then loop back around in. Hopefully that'll be a little bit better. We'll see. I did go down to the store, grabbed a couple of these. They didn't have any at the hardware store, but they had them at the extremely expensive auto store, where I got my bearing pressed on for $150 for 5 minutes worth of non-labor. Yeah, 11 bucks for 24 ounces. Bullshit, because that should be like, that's like good, better stuff, I think, and it's like 8 bucks. Anyways, yeah, so got the hard stuff done. I think what I'm gonna do is gravity bleed these guys. Just set an alarm for like every half hour to come down and check on them. I think that might be a fun way of doing this. We'll see. But I am going to take a break for the evening. I'm going to get some food in me and yeah, concentrate on some other things for the evening. But yeah, like I said, I might try and brake bleed these. If I don't do that tonight, then I'll do it tomorrow. And then get the ECU done up. Get the new stuff done on the ECU, which is still in the car. And yeah, I think that's it for tonight. Alright, next day. Had plenty of time to think about some stuff. I think what I'm going to try and do is work with this guy a little bit today. See if I can't. Let me see if I can get this thing to work. If it's easier than going in there, pumping the brakes, pushing them hard with my 2x4 trapped in between the seat and the pedal, and then come out and crack it and then break it and come back and pump it and all that. Thought I'd give this guy a shot. So we'll see how that works. Do one and go from there. Alright, so I gave up on that thing almost immediately. Went back to my trusty bottle. And as I was down here doing this, I heard this weird noise, and I looked over, and down over there, I'm dripping brake fluid. And it's because I pressurized the system, and I'm coming over here, and I'm not seeing any major wetness. But then I look down here, and I look up into the threading areas there, and I've got brake fluid coming out of. Basically, the flare isn't sitting on the thing right on the bottom two here, so I'm gonna have to pull those lines and reposition them. So they're threaded in there right. It's just I gotta bend the lines so that they're more angled towards the right. I'm sorry, so that they're angled towards the. I'll show you what I mean when I pull one off here. Alright, so after a couple of tries and fails, I know I said I'd show you what I was talking about, but you're just gonna have to Google fluting brake lines. The way that compression fitting set on there was a little different, so I just haven't kept putting them in, taking them out, kind of bending them around a little bit. Released it from the bracket back here, the rear two, and then also I released it from this bracket, which was just holding the three of them together. That did have the headlight harness going through it, which is now on the inside of the vehicle. So this thing's kind of free floating here, doing pretty good. Like I said, 3 or 4 times I had to pull a couple of these off. The bottom two, this one I had to take off twice, this one I had to take off once, just to get them bent a little bit. I didn't really have to do much, but I had to do some bending on every one of the lines to get to line up. Still doesn't line up with the bolt holes back here with either of the, you can see that's off by good at least an inch, and that's at least a half an inch there. And yeah, slowly using this to get rid of this paint, using this excess brake fluid to get rid of the paint. But I can see I have a little bit of a wet spot. You can't even see it. It is right there, but you can't see it. That might just be a residual drip, but they're all looking really nice and dry right now. Where did I just put my flashlight? They're all looking good and dry. It's been a couple minutes. This one looks like it's a little, it might be a little residual wet. It's kind of hard to get into these, to get them all nice and dry. I couldn't even get the paint off of that one, so. But yeah, they're looking dry. It was immediately, as soon as I put pressure, it would fill up the void and the seal there down the middle. It would come off the top and then fill up that void and just drip right down. So hard to see the brand new brake fluid, especially on cleaner parts. I'm gonna give that a couple minutes and see where she sits. And yeah, just keep it pressurized, which it is under pressure right now. I pumped it up and then let the brake. All right, you see how it's sitting at that angle? It's not quite on. You can actually see behind it, in there is, it's under pressure at that angle. That's where it wants to sit naturally. If you can see the nipple in there, that sits kind of at an angle outward. It's pretty much straight outward with the angle of the thing there. So you can tell my angle's off. So when it sits in there, it wants to sit at an angle like that. But it needs to be more like, you see what I'm talking about, angle to the right. So I'm just gonna bend this tube just a little bit to the right. So it's more of a, it's more better an angle. You can see how looks like it's about 15 degrees off from where it should be. And I swear to God, this car is moving. I swear to God. Every time I lean on it with my knee, I feel like I'm moving. Earthquake zone. Alright, so I'm gonna go ahead and do that. Alright, moment of truth. I have been spacing out. Lord, I've been doing all kinds of interneting on my phone. But here we go. Let's see if this guy's wet. Oh, it is bone dry. Bone dry. I like that. Looks like everything on here is very dry. I'm very happy. See for yourself. Take a nice close look. Not seeing any wetness. In the front at least. I don't know about the back. It's pretty dry to me. Pretty dry. Yep, just touched the bottom, got nothing. Sweet. Alright, now, where was I? Somewhere over here, I think. Oh yeah, like right there. Back to doing this. Managed to purge myself of about half my thing there. You can see my mark pretty good. Tell where I'm at. I'm gonna top her off. Alright. Just got this side bled. Probably took like 15 tries to get it all done. Thank God for recreational marijuana, because this is gonna suck. No big deal. I'm gonna double check the manual. I'm pretty sure it's 1, 2, 3 El Cuatro. So yeah, I'm gonna pull that out, double check that real quick. Alright, so as per the instructions here, let me back up so I can zoom in. 1, 2, 3, 4. I was wrong, so I will be doing that. In case you want to know your Newton metric, 9 pounds foot torque, 7 pounds foot torque, 5 pounds on the rear for some reason. Should you care for this one, 15 pounds foot of Newton, 11 foot-pounds torque. Interesting. Alright, anyways. Alright, so I just got done bleeding all 4 of the brakes. Not a single drop was spilt from this guy, and then bone dry, as you can see. It is wet right there. I turned the car on, pumped the brake a few times, held it down a little bit, turned it off, came out, and I had a wet towel. So my wet towel problem is your wet towel problem. Everything is bone dry except for this bottom right one here, which I can't remember off the top of my head which one that goes to. I think that's I don't know, but the bottom right one, I'm gonna pull it back out and bend it around a little bit more and see what's up, because that is the only thing that's giving me any guff right now. It's that guy right there, and I know it's that one because underneath it, I don't know if you can tell right on the lip underneath it there, but it's the only wet spot coming out of that thing. So back it back out, give her another try. Alright, I just did the idle relearn. Backed out of the garage. Kind of tested it, got it back on the ground. Obviously I put the tires back on, backed it out, tested the brakes a little bit down the driveway, seemed to work. So I just drove around the block a couple times. Brakes feel good. They feel a little more responsive. Definitely. I haven't checked this yet. It looks kind of dry. Just about to pull this out and see what it looks like. Well, it's not sopping wet. Definitely has a little bit of brake fluid on there, but I wouldn't call that like dripping wet. I mean, I drove it around and braked pretty good and hard on it, so it's leaking less than it was, and I'm gonna it's definitely a lot better than it was. That's for sure. I can't even tell if it's actually really leaking right now, because I thought that thing would be super wet after driving around and braking a bunch, but it's not. So maybe that last round, that last hoorah, finally kept it from getting all messed up, because that's pretty dry. Obviously, you can see I put it back, so it means it's dry enough for round 2. As far as the ECU, I decided, since I had the engine all warmed up, I felt a little weird pulling out. I hadn't driven it yet. I just started it with the ECU in there. So I did an idle relearn. Sat in the driveway for about 15 minutes with no load on it whatsoever. Just let it sit there and just drove it around the block a couple times. A couple of wide open throttles. Got it up nice and hot. Had to brake pretty hard a couple times. Not like quick or anything like that, but I did brake a little bit, gave it a little bit of a pressure check, and as you can see, it's still dry pretty much, so I'm pretty good, pretty happy with the brakes and the ECU. As I pulled it in, I let it sit here and idle for a second to see what it would do, and it did do a bit of the hunting idle, which I think might have a little bit of something to do with this. I think maybe the ECU that blew on me might have been hiding this in its capacitor issues. Because remember, it did have a bit of a hunting idle, and then it kind of mysteriously went away. So I think this leaking oil right here, now that I know where it is, I guess what I'm going to want to do is, God, I'd love to sand that, but you can't sand the aluminum right in the oil pan. Yeah, so I'm going to have to think about that one. I think that hunting idle is definitely coming from an oil leak, which is probably where a bunch of this oil is coming from. Would be this gasket, which was part of the engine rebuild thing. So I think I'm going to order a new valve cover gasket. Besides, that'll give me an opportunity to do yet another valve stem adjustment. I think that'll make 6 this year, 6 in 2020. No, 6 in 2021. I don't know. Anyways, it'll give me a chance to do a valve stem adjustment, because it's been about 1,500 miles since my rebuild. So yeah, there's that. And now I'm gonna go take a shower and relax and get ready for work tomorrow. And keep an eye on this guy. Check it in the morning. Keep my eye on that guy. That didn't go down at all. I filled it way up. A little bit more than I wanted to, actually, but yeah. Alright. So until next one. I did want to mention that I didn't want to do this rebuild, the capacitor rebuild, because I want to make sure that that is a known good working ECU before I do anything to it. Make darn sure that it's actually working and there's nothing wrong with it. Maybe even try it in a different car first, and if I can find somebody that has an EF Civic. But alright, anyways, yeah, that should be that. Alright, so it's been a couple days. Want to check on some stuff. It was after I got the throttle cable fixed, the high idle and the crazy hunting idle pretty much went away. There's a little bit left. I think it's just the idle learning itself, the ECU learning itself. I was having a weird kind of slippage issue. I realized that my setup here with my clutch pedal was a little tight, and I wasn't getting any kind of slack or click down here, so I loosened that up a little bit. As I'm doing this, I wanted to check on my brake fluid level, and as you can see, or maybe not see, it is full as shit. Over here, it is dry as fuck. Full of shit and dry as fuck. That's what I like to see, and it's still doing just great. I pulled out the paper towel I had in there. It's dry. Yeah, you might have just seen I am over here working on this guy, doing the capacitor replacements. Working on that video, getting ready to do this. Made sure my plugs fit this ECU, which they do. I got more wiring in today. This is going to be for the firewall. It'll go down there. That's where the main harness is going to come through. But yeah, trucking along. Get ready for this video because it's coming up.